Hello, my inspired people, and welcome to Inspired Earth. Thanks for tuning in this week, guys. I'm gonna be sharing some more inspiring content. I have a rescue at the end. Everybody loves good miracle rescue type story, and got some pretty cool technologies this week. Got stuff about mainly how to save the planet, and then something about the moon that's really bizarre that we'll talk about. And of course, we got to talk about Neuralink a little bit with the news this week. So let's get it going. And we're going to start off with solar powered fridges completely changing the access to higher quality produce, as well as reducing our gaseous emissions into the atmosphere, like methane, it says. And not only is this idea about slashing food waste globally, but giving us better access to better foods. And then, like I just mentioned, also decreasing our harmful polluting gases. As much as 1.3 billion tons of food is wasted every year, that's an incredible amount. It might even be more. I'd be interested to see how they came up with that idea or that quantity. But it says that a lot of the food is wasted after it arrives at the final destination, such as a restaurant or your home. But for regions with developing infrastructure, products like fish, meats, dairy items, and fresh produce often go bad long before reaching the customers. And that a cold chain system could go a long way in erasing this problem. A cold chain system is a series of procedures and technologies to keep any given product a certain temperature, for which most things involves freezers and refrigerated truck trailers. Expanding cold chain areas to the areas of the world with conventional refrigeration technologies might not be possible. So, because they don't have local power, it says. If they could, and also it says that the local power they do have causes harmful gases and strains their grid. So solar powered refrigerators, they go with the refrigerator, they go with them. So you don't need to have it linked up to the power system, and solar power is clean and it's caused by the sunlight. So sun fridges wouldn't need pre-existing infrastructure to operate, and that in the pilot programs, they've seen farmers having higher prices for higher quality produce. So the farmers will have to put less energy to getting more profit, which will be beneficial for them. And then the people are getting better food. And I would think that the price would eventually go down because it would be widened, so it wouldn't be as specialized. More people would want it, there would be more need for it, so the prices would go down as the quantity goes up. Obviously, that's just like basic economics or whatever. But as rising temperatures continue to stress the power grids, solar solution to food waste is brilliant. And if you want to reduce your own personal food waste, they have this app they suggest to plan your grocery shopping. That's interesting. I'll have to check out that app. But with the solar fridges, I think that could really help, like it said, in like the third world areas where they catch food and then they have nowhere to put it, or they have to like dry it in like unhealthy ways, like salt, high content with jerky and drying stuff is obviously not good for your blood pressure and heart and stuff like that. So Also, I thought it was really interesting about the methane being released as organic matter decomposes, uh, which you would think that we would be interested in capturing that also, because we can just run everything off of that gas also as well. So I don't know why we don't capture that. I know at some landfills and stuff we do. Then we gotta quickly talk about Neuralink here. I'm just gonna briefly skim over it because I'm sure that everybody already knows about Neuralink for the most part or has heard of it. But I will mention that this week, the first human recipient got an implant from Neuralink and is recovering well. Elon Musk said on X, the initial results are showing the implant, which Musk said is named telepathy, is registering spikes of brain cell activity. So yeah, the implant is named telepathy. I thought that that was like the name of the patient for a second. The first device installed as part of the clinical trial announced by the 2023 testing that was approved by the FDA for quadriplegia because of spinal cord injury and amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. This idea is to intercept the brain's neural signals to move limbs, then retransmit these signals elsewhere in the body so the patient can control their limbs again. I think that this is a really good thing as long as they, stick to giving people who are paralyzed movement again and like working with diseases and stuff like that. But I'm sure the military's gonna get it and do crazy stuff with it. But I'm okay with Neuralink as long as it's used for people who are paralyzed and stuff like that. But I don't think that we have enough sense socially to like draw the line uh, where it needs to be drawn to where it doesn't get commercialized or commodified. But yeah, on the whole, I'm excited to hear more about Neuralink, especially solving diseases like Alzheimer's or paralysis or those sorts of things. Also, I'd be interested in them looking at nutrition. How would implants like that affect our knowledge of nutrition? I think that we have a really big lacking in our understanding of some aspects of nutrition, and having an implant there would actually be beneficial for everybody else also in figuring out how nutrients flow through the brain and how that sort of stuff works, because I don't think that we fully understand that. And yeah, I'm typically just looking forward to the benefits of it, but I do hope that we can use it responsibly as far as brain implants goes. This one's really weird. Shrinking moon causes moonquakes and faults near lunar south pole. I mean, I had heard of moonquakes and that there was seismic activity going on the moon, but I didn't realize that the moon was shrinking. I mean, straight up shrinking. That's very strange. I feel like I hadn't really heard very much of that before. In fact, a lot of the people from NASA, I feel like, said that they didn't have seismology, if I remember correctly, and that like hasn't there been scientists that have come out and talked about seismology on the moon before, and they kind of got shut down a little bit. I'll have to go back and double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's that has happened before. So now we've kind of come full circle, and we're talking about seismology of the moon again being possible. Our modeling suggests some shallow moonquakes capable of producing strong ground shaking in the south polar region are possible for slip events on existing fault lines or the formation of new thrust faults. And they have all these pictures here of these lines that they're saying are thrust faults, and that they have the potential to be active and form new thrust faults on global contraction and should be considered when planning the location and stability of permanent outposts on the moon. And then they have pictures here of like an illustration of a thrust fault on the moon. The scarps are cliff-like landforms that resemble stair steps on the low lunar surface. They form when contractional forces break the crust and push or thrust it on one side of the fault up and over the other side. The contraction is caused by cooling of the moon's still hot interior and tidal forces exerted by the Earth, resulting in global shaking. So, the contraction is caused by the cooling of the moon's still interior and tidal forces exerted by the Earth, resulting in global shaking. The formation of the faults is accompanied by seismic event activity in the form of shallow depth moonquakes. Such shallow moonquakes were recorded by the Apollo Passive Seismic Network, a series of seismometers deployed by the Apollo astronauts. So they were deployed by Apollo? That was a long time ago. We're still using the same ones? That's kind of mind-boggling in itself. The team modeled the stability of surface slopes in the lunar South Pole region and found that some areas were susceptible to regolith landslides from even light seismic shaking, including areas in the permanently shadowed region. These areas are of interest due to the resources that might be found there. So I guess because of all the movement that it's going to like bring resources to the surface. It says like ice. I mean, I was kind of thinking minerals, but I guess ice also would come to the surface from that process. Missions like the upcoming Farside Seismic Suite will expand upon measurements made during Apollo and add to our knowledge of global seismicity. And it says that. All right, with this one, I was not anticipating to see it at all. It's very exciting. And we have great whites, the largest predatory sharks in the world, with the most fatal attacks on humans, are tough to imagine as newborn babies. That's partially because no one's ever seen them in the wild, it seems, until now. Wildlife filmmaker Carlos Guana and UC Riverside biology doctoral student Philip Stearns were scanning the waters for sharks on July 9th, 2023, near Santa Barbara on California's central coast. That day, something exciting appeared on the viewfinder of Guana's drone camera. It was a shark pup, unlike anything they'd ever seen. I did not realize that they call baby sharks pups. That's hilarious. Great white sharks, referred to only as white sharks by scientists, are gray on the top and white on the bottom. But this roughly 5-foot-long shark was pure white. We enlarged the images, put them in slow motion, and realized the white layer was being shed from its body as it was swimming. And they have pictures here of it, and it's kind of like like little bits, little white bits coming off of it. Guana is known online as the Malibu artist. He has spent thousands of hours filming the sharks around the world, and his videos of them swimming close to beachgoers have millions of views. What he and Stearns observed could help solve the long-standing mystery of great white birthing habits. Where white sharks give birth is one of the holy grails of shark science. No one has ever been able to pinpoint where they are born, nor has anyone ever seen a baby shark alive, Guana said. They have been dead white sharks found inside deceased pregnant mothers, but nothing like this. Though the paper author acknowledged it is possible that the white film the shark shed could have been a skin condition, the duo do not believe the case. Which, yeah, it doesn't really look like it's like the same color as the skin exactly. If that is what we saw, then that too is monumental, because no such condition has ever been reported for these sharks. So either way, it's like new. For many reasons, the duo believes what they saw was in fact a newborn great white shark. They think that it might have been the milk secreted in the uterus, and intrauterine milk possibly, and that they had seen very large sharks that were pregnant in the area, and that they were filming 3 very large sharks that appeared pregnant at this specific location in the days prior. On this day, one of them dove down, and not long afterwards, this fully white shark appears, Guana said. It's not a stretch to deduce where the baby came from. Thirdly, the shark's size and shape also were indicative of the newborn. What the two observed was thin, short, and rounded. In my opinion, this was likely hours or maybe 1 day old at the most, Stern said, which was the actual shark scientist that was in there. Finally, this location of the coast of Central California has long been proposed as a birthing location for great whites. There are lots of hypothetical areas, but despite intense interest in these sharks, no one has seen a birth or newborn pup in the wild. This may well be the first evidence we have of a pup in the wild, making this a definitive birthing location. Many scholars believe great white sharks are born further out at sea. This pup was filmed so close to the shore, roughly 1,000 feet from the shore, is significant because its age means it was likely born in shallow waters. Great white sharks are listed as international endangered species. Further research is needed to confirm that these waters are indeed a great white breeding ground. But if it does, we want lawmakers to step in and protect these waters to help sharks keep thriving. Wouldn't that be something? A great white shark breeding ground. This next one I really, really like here. All right, with this one we have abandoned coal mines may actually hold the secret to storing clean energy, and here's why. This is a bizarre read. For some reason on Yahoo, which a lot of these have been coming from Yahoo, 3 of them are. So Yahoo kind of hit it out the park this week with their editors and stuff. But for some reason, I guess they have the scripting set to where I can't use any plugins, so I can't highlight the text, which is frustrating. But a lot of these articles on Yahoo are like very short, so I don't need to highlight as much because they're not super long. But anyways, the clean energy, solar, wind, and power is increasingly massive in the U.S., but our current systems aren't always able to use or store the energy as soon as it's generated. A new system involving abandoned coal mines could change that. Just that concept in itself, I feel like really has to be digested, that we're producing all of this power and we can't even store it. We don't know what to do with it, and it's just wasted out there. Like, we need people to be working on this stuff, man. This is like almost a joke how bad our stuff is. A team of researchers at the International Institute of Applied Systems Analysis has developed a new strategy for storing excess clean energy. The study outlines a method in which the power is created and stored by dropping large amounts of sand into converted mines. The technique called underground gravity energy storage, which is just genius. I love all these out-of-the-box concepts, and this is so simple. You're talking about picking up and lifting sand, like, to solve our energy crisis. That's exactly the type of stuff that we need to be looking at. And it makes me think of other stuff previously, like, what does that even mean for previous civilizations? You know, we've talked about power dirt on this podcast already, the bacteria based soil batteries, and then you start talking about using soil for storing energy too. I think that we need people to look into this. Underground gravity energy storage even takes fluctuating energy prices into account, so they can like also change the operations of their procedure based on market variables and like what's going on with the free market, which is hilariously efficient. It makes me smile thinking about that. When power costs more, the system of machines will drop sand to create more energy, and when power costs less, the system will use electric motors to bring the sand back up to the top, thus storing energy for future use. When a mine closes, it lays off thousands of workers. This devastates the communities that rely only on the mine for their economic output. This would create a few vacancies, as the mine would provide energy storage services after it stops operation. Mines already have the basic infrastructure and are connected to the power grid, which significantly reduces the cost and facilitates the implementation of the underground gravity energy storage plants. The UGES system solves one of the biggest problems with storing clean energy. Existing storage devices like batteries tend to gradually lose power over time, thanks to the phenomenon called self-discharge. But with this sand-based method, self-discharge is not an issue. To decarbonize the economy, we need to rethink the energy system based on innovative solutions using existing resources. Turning abandoned mines into energy storage is one example of many solutions that exist around us, and we only need to change the way we deploy them. This is exactly what I'm saying. It's like the whole point of this podcast, once again, is this exact paragraph right here, using innovative solutions of existing resources and lifting up sand and putting it back down again. If that's going to store our electricity, then we need to do it. We need to start doing it yesterday. I mean, this is so cool. And yeah, it absolutely could give power to to communities that need that output again. And then you can build other stuff around that too. It doesn't just have to be that. I mean, we can just revitalize everything. We need a whole new revolution, a green revolution, an actual green revolution. It doesn't have to be corporate. That's what everybody's waiting on, is all these corporations to fix the stuff that they're going to. The corporations are not going to fix stuff. The people can fix stuff. And I can keep on going for that forever, but I'm going to try to keep today's episode a little bit short. So we'll keep on going here because we've got stuff to talk about. Here we've got another big one. This one will make you chipper in the morning. It'll help your day if you're having a bad day. I was really glad to find all of these articles this week because there was a lot of crazy stuff in the news that I was reading, finding this stuff so finding these is like the diamond in the rough, literally. I was so happy to find them that we're coming up with these solutions. And once again, this is Yahoo News, and they did a good job this week. They really did. And I wonder if this is all from the same person. No, they're all different. Every single one of these authors are all different from Yahoo. So just kudos to that whole team this week. Anyways, researcher accidentally discovers material that's stronger and cheaper than concrete, and its potential is dizzying. Material that got its start in Arizona desert, showing up in science journals, could transform our buildings and infrastructure. It's called Ferrock, and it's proved to be tougher and more planet-friendly material than concrete, and that's Ferrock, which kind of sounds like some Star Trek thing. That's what it made me think of. But it said that it was from David Stone, and that the accident was, it was made on accident, and it's made from steel dust waste, which is amazing. And he started this in 2013. This all started from an accidental discovery in a lab, which is actually the way it usually goes. Innovating more sustainable building methods is the focus of researchers around the planet who are using all sorts of materials, including fungal network and straw. Waste steel fits right into the mix. The search to find sustainable alternatives to current construction systems is causing many new materials to emerge. For the materials part, it is stronger than concrete by several metrics: 13.5% for compressive strength, 20% for split tensile strength, 18% flexural strength, all at 28 days, according to Science Direct. So all of those were increased from steel. It's made from steel dust, or increased from concrete, excuse me, not steel. It's made from steel dust that is usually thrown out, and silica from pulverized glass. In fact, 95% of the materials that make Ferrock are recycled, making it a cost-friendly option. There's also some impressive chemistry that happens. When it hardens, that pulls carbon dioxide from the air, reducing pollution per certified energy. It's the company that, I guess, put out the study on that one as far as pulling the carbon dioxide out of the air. That is so cool. We produce 4 billion tons of cement around the world annually. The manufacturing process generates as much as 8% of the planet's air pollution. We have a lot of concrete manufacturing going on in our area, and not only does it create a lot of air pollution, those trucks throw off so much gravel and stone, and it hits all of your stuff, and none of them are insured, and it's just, they're a nightmare to have on the road. I will say that. It doesn't say this in the article, but pictures of Ferrock published by Certified Energy show slabs like bricks used for an apparent patio and slurry form what hardens to make a wall. That report noted that small-scale projects are more feasible until large amounts of waste steel can be reliably sourced. The writer encouraged more research into Ferrock and other sustainable building materials. And if Stone's words from 2014 are still true, he's at work trying to bring Ferrock to the forefront. "I am in this for the long haul," he said. "Time is on our side, since in this era of global warming, unsustainable processes like cement manufacture will have to give way to greener alternatives." So he knows that the opposition's time is done, and that he's ready for change, which is incredible. This is exactly the stuff that we need. Thank you to these people that are on discovering this stuff and talking about it and educating everybody and thinking outside the box and not just being defeatist and just giving up. You know, we really need these scientists, and we really need to appreciate the scientists for the work that they're doing, that they're giving us hope for humanity, and that it doesn't all have to be bad. All right, and here we have the rescue we're going to end it off with. And just once again, like I say on all these rescues, I try to find them that are going to be bizarre and strange and not all like the exact same ones. And one of the common themes is luck. And these people were so lucky. Once again, I guess somehow their boat capsized, and they had a little kayak on board, and they were kayaking in the middle of the ocean and found a cruise ship. And I have a little bit of the video. I skipped forward on the video so that we wouldn't have to just hear a bunch of noise and stuff, but I'm going to play a tiny bit of it here. And you see how small of a speck they were? They were way out further. They were tiny little speck, and just listen to a few of the things that the people say, as well as how noisy it is.
Didn't have to get held by a giant cruise ship.
So you can see them.
Oh, you can see like their faces and everything. So it's an African American man in the back.
Oh wait, they're rolling away.
The guy in the front, this guy. Yeah, he's like crazy. He looks like he's like has
There's energy for something.
barely different. It's just so wet.
They don't have anything on the boat at all. One guy's in jeans, one guy's looks naked.
So I'm just going to pause it there. And yeah, you can hear them saying that, like, you can see their faces. I thought that was an interesting comment. It's interesting whenever you're in the moment of like these like really dramatic encounters where it's kind of life and death, once in a lifetime type experiences, the things that you focus on during them. And I feel like people's faces convey so much emotion. And you can see that in history also, that like that's why the face is so important. I think of the Kent State Massacre, where the National Guard shot all the people, and the lady's expression is like horrified, and that expression says it all that day. That's like the famous photo, and it's crazy how one person's face can encapsulate so much emotion. And I thought that that was really interesting. Also, you hear them talking about how they were going forward. They were like, the guy was like, they're rowing away from us. They got pushed by a huge wave. They're not rowing away, and it goes to show that how tiny they are in the sea compared to how powerful the sea is. That one little sea swell can push you 30 yards away from the, and you're sitting there with your little paddle. Both of them are paddling away just to get back to where they were. And thank God that the cruise ship noticed them also, because of how huge those propellers are and how much power that is, because they turn off the engine. At one point, one of the people talk about how they're cutting off all the engines, and that's because the engines can create these swells that will like blow these people way off course and flip them over, and then they'll get sucked under. It's just a nightmare. For these people to come next to the cruise ship was extremely dangerous. And like I said, thank God that the people noticed them. As they were coming up, all these alarms and whistles started going off, and I think that that was why all the alarms and whistles started going, was because they were having the kayak or dinghy or whatever come towards them. So they needed to shut everything off in order to not flip them over and possibly get them sucked into the water because of how much pressure is going on with that. If you've ever looked into the propellers on those cruise ships, it's nuts. They create cavitation bubbles behind them. Like all of those bubbles behind it is from the cavitation of the propellers, which is just nuts. But I don't want to go on that stuff forever. One of the other things that I thought was crazy was them talking about how little clothes they had. They had no water, they had no food, they had nothing. I guess that means that they really had to get out of there in a hurry. With the boat capsizing, you got to do that in a hurry. But once again, it shows how lucky they were that they had very few hours to spare. You know, you can only be on the water with no water. You can only be in the sea with no water for so long. So their clock was ticking, and thank God they got found in the middle of the ocean. They might have known the routes, honestly, if they were like fishermen or professional sailors or something. It's possible that they knew approximately where they were and knew when the next ship was I don't know. That's kind of a long shot. I think they just got really, really lucky, and that's the whole point of this. All right, guys. I hope that you enjoyed all of this stuff. This one was a real fun one for me. The shrinking moon, I feel like I'm going to have to think about that for a long time. After the secret space program disclosure, I don't know what to think about NASA. But I will listen, and we'll see what they have to say. I don't know. How do we just find out that the moon is shrinking? But all right, guys, I'll see y'all next week, and I hope that y'all are safe and that you enjoyed everything and that you stay safe out there.